Welcome, everybody, to the Grueling True CFL Pick'em Show. This is Week 8. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to welcome in my co-host. First up, Os Davis.
Howdy, folks. Glad to be here.
Also, of course, as always, Brian Schmidt.
Hey, everybody.
And our CFL Hall of Fame quarterback, who quarterbacks the show, Dieter Brock.
Good afternoon, everybody.
All right, Dieter, we will start because it seems like they always play the first game of the week. We'll start with your Blue Bombers, who once again looked really good. I mean, I know you weren't completely sold on Matt Nichols before. Are you now?
Well, he's played very well on 2 games in a row, and Winnipeg has certainly picked it up a little bit, and their defense is playing better. Of course, the turnovers that Hamilton had last week helped them, but I certainly like the way Winnipeg's playing.
Yeah, and Brian, what's your take on Jeremiah Masoli? I mean, one week he looks like he's the answer, and then the next week he looks like this.
Yeah, he is all over the place. Right now in Hamilton, just for consistency's sake, they all got to be waiting for Zach to come back. I'm surprised, there's not going to be more signs at the game going, we want Zach. Fortunately, I mean, they're not in a bad spot record-wise. I mean, it's not what they want to be, but the sooner they get Zach back, the sooner I think their fortunes will change. But well, he is the if he is anything, he is consistent at being inconsistent.
Yeah. Oz, what's your take on the Hamilton situation?
Wow. Well, I've been beating this drum all season so far. Zach Collaros return or no, this team is still a long ways away from being complete. It's starting to look more and more like, I called this at the time the best half of play we've seen in the CFL this year in Week 5 when they came back against Edmonton. But now this just looks like beating up on Edmonton, which everybody seems to do nowadays. Hamilton still has a long way to go before they're viable. However, as was pointed out just a second ago, they're at 500. So they're hardly out of the race or anything like that. But I don't think that the comeback of Collaros is going to solve all their issues.
I disagree. I disagree.
I know.
I think that this is a 3-3 team. I mean, they got to have something other than just a quarterback to be able to keep their head above water. What do you think, Dieter?
Well, I think Zach Collaros will make the difference in the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As I stated before, Mazzoli plays well at times, and he plays really well at times, but he also, like last week, is going to cost you some games by the turnovers, and that's just being inconsistent. Collaros is a very consistent quarterback, at least when he's healthy, and when they get him back, and if he's healthy and ready to go, it may take him a game or two to get back into it, but I think he'll make the difference in the Hamilton Tiger Cats and put them up there battling for the East.
All right, that brings us to Oz's train wreck in Montreal. They get beat 38-18, but I'm going to start off by asking Brian this question. Jonathan Jennings caught a lot of heat for the way he played at the end of the game last week. I think it says a lot for his maturity that he comes out and after that game plays maybe his best game, 27-32, 331 yards.
I agree, and I'll tell you, I think if you watch him from week 1 to now, just his improvement has continued to rise. Even with all the heat he took last week, I mean, he played a solid game. And now to come back from that after everything had happened at the end of that game, all the heat, that sometimes where you'll see young quarterbacks wilt, he comes back and plays an outstanding game. And I really, more I see him, the more impressed I'm getting with him as a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, Dieter, you can talk about this, but, their defense looked good again. Looked good all year except for last week, which I think was a hiccup against a very good team. That happens. The 85 Bears, I think the second game of the season, gave up 28 points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 1985. But if you look at them, this is a complete team. And with Travis Lulay there, if something catastrophic happens to Jonathan Jennings, they've got a guy that can step up and still get him to the Grey Cup, I think.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Jennings the way he's playing, and like you said, with the BC's defense, they're one of the better teams right now. I don't think they're as good as Calgary yet, but I mean they're playing very well. Jennings is playing excellent, and I don't have that much confidence in Lule as I do Jennings. I mean, if Lule had to play, I don't know. I think they'd have a drop there, and I like Travis.
Yeah, but you've always got a drop when you've got a backup. But I think with Lule, the drop-off's less for them than most other teams.
Well, maybe because he has been very good a few years ago. Now, his shoulder, I think, when he had that injury, I think that really hurt him. As far as his play, but he's a good, he's a good backup for him. But Jennings is the guy that's going to have to take him.
All right, Oz, Montreal Alouettes, go.
Well, I wish we had Lule in Montreal. I'd take him at this point. Look,
the coach wouldn't be a bad thing either.
No kidding. The thing is, nothing changes for the Alouettes. Okay, they had that freak show against Saskatchewan last week or a couple weeks ago. It seems like forever ago. But the storyline is the same. Look, the defense is good enough to hang tough, even with an offense like the Lions. The Manny show is pretty much held in check for even through the first half. But the truth is that, for example, in this game, the team has the ball for 24 minutes. The defense is full of old guys. Again, this is the oldest roster in the league. It's full of old dudes who just don't have quite that much stamina, to play against a team of the Lions' caliber. And that's it. It falls apart. Meanwhile, in the fourth quarter, okay, here's what the Alouettes did in the fourth quarter. Okay, Kevin Glenn goes, 2 for 4 for 20 yards. He gets sacked 3 times. On one of his completions, the ball was fumbled and returned for a touchdown. We got the gratuitous Jim Pop challenge call, which had no chance of succeeding. And there's also what else do I got here? Oh yeah, no interceptions, just a couple of fumbles. This is what happens in the fourth quarter. Of course they're going to lose this game, but of course this is going to happen every game. It's a familiar story at this point. It's a tad frustrating. It's a tad frustrating. And I'm sure for the defense of this team, they've got to be seriously frustrated. They just have to.
Yeah, because the defense doesn't play poorly, but when the offense keeps putting you back on after 2 and out, I mean, after a while, it demoralizes you defensively.
And I'm glad Dieter brought up the BC defense, because look what they did in this game. They dominated the way Calgary offense dominates in a fourth quarter. Again, they got the 3 sacks. They forced the 2 fumbles. They shut down that offense to about 6 or 7 plays until Kevin Cato came in, the human, victory cigar, lost cigar, I guess you'd call him. I mean, this is awesome defense, and Montreal could do that if their offense is keeping them in games, but they're not. They're not. There's nothing there.
All right. That brings us to Saskatchewan. Got beat by Calgary 35-15. Close game till the fourth quarter. Calgary blew it out. I think they scored 16 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. Even with Darren Durant, it looks to me like, Dieter, I don't know what you think, but it looks to me like Saskatchewan's in trouble this year.
I agree with you, Mike. At first I thought they were going to, at least pull it together and get something going, but this team is going downhill. Durant, certainly needs to, be able to stay in there, but I don't think it's going to matter because they just had too many changes, even with a good coaching staff, it's just going to take some time to get these players, the players they want, and get them to gel together. And right now, it looks a long way off for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and to me, I think Calgary is the best team. Our power rankings, we had them number 1. You got Bo Levi Mitchell, but on top of that, they've got a running game, Brian.
Yeah, this best team in the league, but I'm just getting impressed with their offense. First of all, and I mentioned this last week, the ability to be able to run the football just opens up your passing game, and ability to be able to throw the football opens up your run game, and they can do both. And they're just, to me right now, they are definitely, not only are they the best team in the league, I mean, they're the best offense by a long shot because they've been consistent pretty much, all year. I mean, they've gotten better every week, and that offensively, that is, I wouldn't want to play them, and they're not a horrible defense as well. So, I mean, they're definitely best team in the league right now, and they're showing it.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes them really dangerous is, like Brian said, the defense is solid. You got a great running game. You got a great passing game, and they've got those because they've got probably the best offensive line in the CFL.
It's the offensive line. Look, this was another game, 0 sacks. Again, they've allowed 1 sack to a team not called the BC Lions this season. Bo Levi-Mitchell is 27-6-1 in the past 3 seasons as a starter for this team. They are keeping him on his feet through the better part now of 3 seasons consecutively. I mean, this offensive line is awesome. It's no wonder this team has been, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league this past 3-4 years. It's absolutely no wonder at all. This line is something to see. It's one of the great lines, I think, in at very least recent CFL history, if not of all time. I mean, just what they've done is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and we go from the best offensive line to talking about the last game, which is one of the worst offensive lines I've seen in professional football, honestly.
Oh, my God.
The Edmonton Eskimos lose to Ottawa 23-20. You got Mike Riley, but when you can't keep Mike Riley upright, Oz, it's going to be hard to win games.
They did not score an offensive touchdown in this game. Never mind the fact that Riley had a streak of like 32 straight 300-yard games broken. That's also gone. But, he did not score an offensive touchdown. Now, he was sacked by the numbers. He was sacked twice. But I lost track of how many times he got hit. And the fact of the matter is when Ottawa has 10 penalties on the defense, and they still can't put a score in the end zone with Darrell Walker in your receiving core, among others. How do you not score a touchdown? This offensive line kept Riley frustrated, harassed, and hurried the entire game. I mean, it is pitiful there. I'm glad to hear you say that as a professional coach. I'm glad to hear you say this is one of the worst offensive lines you've ever seen, because this is the worst thing I've seen since the winless Detroit Lions. This is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, right now I don't think the Edmonton Eskimos could even beat the Cleveland Browns. But, I mean, and I've asked this question for 4 weeks because, Dieter, this is what I feel. I just think this team's in trouble. Is it time to push the panic button yet?
Well, they played a little bit better defensively this week, but they've been terrible on defense all year. And Mike Riley's, I mean, he can only take so much. I mean, he's getting hit all over the place, and it's just they're just going to struggle, it looks like to me. I mean, they lost some guys on defense, and I think that meant a lot to this football team. And, they got some good receivers, but they've got to protect Riley better, and their defense has got to, which they did play better this last week, but it's still, a ways off.
Yeah, and to me, Brian, Ottawa, I think they're the third, at worst, 4th best team in this league. But could they win a Grey Cup if Henry Burris had to play the rest of the year?
No, not a chance.
But the other question is this: could they win it if Trevor Harris is?
Yes, I truly believe that. If you go back and I had some time over the weekend and thought, I'm going to go back and watch a few games, and I went back and actually watched an Ottawa game with Trevor Harris, and it's such a different feel. What he brings to the table, their offense becomes, with Trevor Harris, I think becomes the best in the league. Without Trevor Harris, you're talking about, maybe, 3rd best offense in the league, 2nd or 3rd best offense. I got to be honest. I mean, he makes such a huge difference, and with Burris, they can be competitive, a playoff team, but with Trevor Harris, it's a Grey Cup team that can win a Grey Cup. So, they need him back.
All right. So I wanted to bring this up because this hasn't happened very often, but with the 5 of us, including Robert Drummond last week, I think we were all at worst 3-1, weren't we?
Yep.
And if Dieter, if you would have picked Montreal, you'd have been undefeated.
I know it. I don't know. I don't know why I picked Montreal to beat BC. I guess.
What I was thinking when you said it.
Well, I thought I thought Kevin Glenn and their offense would kind of maybe be a little more consistent, and I like their defense, but I should have picked BC.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's been a few weeks where almost every game I picked, I wish I'd have picked somebody else. But it happens to all of us. Robert Drummond cannot be here tonight. I wanted to bring that up real quick. He'll be back next week. He was on a flight that got delayed, I think, into Atlanta or from Atlanta. So his flight got pushed back, so he can't make it because he's in the air right now. So Robert will be back with us next week. So that brings us to this week. Oz, we'll give you first pick. Montreal at Edmonton, which actually is more interesting than you would think, the way Edmonton's played, I think.
Are you ready for this? I'm going Montreal. I'm going Montreal. Okay? Here's the thing. They kept showing this statistic during the game. I mean, they probably only showed it once, but it seemed like they were flashing it the whole game. And that is this. Montreal is number 1 in points allowed, and they're bottom in points scored. Okay? Now, if Montreal harasses this offensive line enough in the first half and they build a nice lead, they're going to win this game. Because the way that Edmonton is playing offense right now, they are not going to put up more than like 16, 17 points against this defense. And I believe that they can score just enough points to win. They can get up to about 15.
All right. I'm done hearing you ran on about you being a homer with Montreal. I'm going to tell you this right now. I think Mike Riley throws 4 or 5 touchdown passes, and they blow out Montreal like 35-8.
Okay. With this defense against that line, I don't buy it.
But my problem is this. I mean, Edmonton only gave up 23 points to Ottawa. How's Montreal going to score enough points? And I think Mike Riley's such a good quarterback, even behind a bad offensive line. I think you're going to be the Alouettes because the Alouettes suck. Brian, what's your pick?
This is another one of those things from a couple of weeks ago where, Dieter, said, he needs to stick with his gut. My gut's telling me that there's a chance Montreal can win this game. My head tells me.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
So with that, what I'm going to go with my head. I'm going to go Edmonton. I want to, but I can't. I can't do it. I got to go with Edmonton.
All right, Dieter.
Well, I would like to see Montreal play Rakeem Cato, but I don't know if that's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to matter anyway. As bad as Edmonton has been, and I think they will win this week against Montreal. I think Mike Riley will do well this week, and I think their defense, which played well last week against Ottawa, maybe they'll have another game in them this week, and they'll get the win this week.
All right, so you better be right on this one, Oz, or we're all have to make fun of you.
Okay.
I'm not unconfident. I'm going to make fun of you either way. But let's see.
Yep.
Dieter,
I realize that. The
suddenly hot Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Toronto Argonauts. I think this is a huge game for Winnipeg season.
Yeah, Matt Nichols has played well in the last couple of games. Their defense is playing better. Toronto is hurting without Ricky Ray right now. I don't think they have the quarterback that can do it. I like Toronto's defense. I like Stuber's defense. I think they're very good, but I don't think they're going to be good enough without a good quarterback to win. And I like Winnipeg going into Toronto to win this game.
All right, Brian.
Going with Winnipeg. I want to pick Toronto, but every time Toronto plays at home, they don't play well. Winnipeg's hot right now, and I'm going to go with the hot hand. I'm going to go with Winnipeg.
All right, Oz?
Yep, Winnipeg. I can't believe I'm going with Montreal and Winnipeg away in the same week, but I am. I'm going to go with Winnipeg. I like what's happening there. I would be very surprised if Clarence Denmark and Duron Mayo do as well as they did this week, but that's actually a pretty intriguing tandem there. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Winnipeg. I say they make it 3 in a row. I say they get up to 500.
All right, I think you guys are obviously insane. I'm gonna go with Winnipeg also. I right now they're hot. Matt Nichols I would take over Toronto's quarterback. I mean, that's simple. I'm gonna go with Winnipeg also. I'll start off Calgary at Saskatchewan. I'm going to take Calgary because I watched last week's game. Dieter, Calgary or Saskatchewan?
Yeah, well, this is probably be a repeat of last week. Even though Saskatchewan's at home, I don't think it's going to matter at all. Calgary is just too strong overall. Their whole team. I mean, offensively and defensively, and Saskatchewan is struggling bad. So this is Calgary.
All right, Oz.
Mike, you put it succinctly. I would say a bit further that you might believe Saskatchewan pulling off the upset against almost any other CFL team, but the Stampeders do not fall for the trap game. They do not take their opponents lightly. They do not let up. They don't fall for that BS. They're going to win this game. They're going to win this. They're going to take care of business.
I think that's why Calgary and BC are the two best teams in this league too, just coaching wise.
Oh yeah,
they don't take people lightly.
These two teams
Brian?
have a nice combination of personnel and coaching. Absolutely.
Okay, Oz, your name is Oz. Brian?
Got to go with Calgary. Best team in the CFL playing right now. Team that, I don't want to say they're the worst team. I think Montreal is probably the worst team, but Saskatchewan certainly is not up there any caliber of Calgary. So
no,
Calgary
wait a second,
and
Brian. Montreal just beat Saskatchewan 41-3 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Saskatchewan's better.
I think in the end, I think they'll end up being slightly better, but not by much.
Well, not in the end. We're talking about now. I think you're just taking a shot at Oz, and I'm offended by that. Okay. Peter, we got your pick on that. I'm taking. I think Saskatchewan will keep it close for 3 quarters, and Calgary will blow them out in the 4th, just like we had here. Who hasn't started out yet? Brian? Hamilton at BC.
Yeah, Zach Claris was coming back this week.
Well, he did take first-team reps today in practice.
Yeah, they reported just a few hours ago that he's going to go.
But I think they would be nuts at 3-3. Their season's still completely intact. To put Zach Claris up against the BC defense in BC for his first game.
I agree. If he was playing, I'd almost want to pick Hamilton, even though I know it would be his first game back. But hey, you got to go with BC. Right now, BC is a really good. I mean, really good defensively. Got a quarterback that's getting better every week. Offensively, they've gotten better. I don't know how a team that I wasn't as high on at the beginning of the year, and they've kind of won me over. So I'm going to go with BC, and I think it's going to be a good game. But I like BC at home.
All right, Dieter.
If Zach Claris was playing, I would say they have a chance this week. But if it's Mazzoli, I don't think they have a chance. And I'm not trying to kill Mazzoli. I think he does well at times. He's just been so inconsistent. I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically the epitome of a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job. I mean, at times, but he I don't think he can go in there and BC and win this game. I think BC is solid on defense, and their quarterback's playing great. And I'm gonna have to go with BC this week. And if Zach does come back, I mean, I think even if he does, it's going to take him a game or two to get back in to good playing shape.
Yeah, he's been out for a year,
Exactly.
so he's not going to come back and look like he did week 12 of last year.
Right. And when he comes back and he gets going, I think it puts Hamilton up there vying for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it puts him in the top half of the league, no doubt.
Right.
All right, Oz, did we get your pick on this one yet?
Nope. BC, for the reasons you guys just talked about. I don't care if they have Caleros going or not.
I know you asked. You're like in the Zach Caleros hater club. But that's all right.
Not exactly. No,
yeah, it is because every time somebody says the name Zach Caleros, you have to come back with some snide-ass comment about Zach Caleros.
I just don't believe he's Jesus like most CFL fans apparently do. I just don't believe that he's going to heal all wounds on this team. And they're not going to beat BC anyway. Look, I think BC, Hamilton with Caleros is still not as good as BC. They're still not as good as Calgary. Not at this point. Not right now. No way.
Uh-huh.
No way.
All right. Well, we've definitely had Zach Caleros on the show when you're on it.
I'll say this as a rebuttal is, how can you watch what Zach Caleros did last year and not think that he doesn't make them crazily better?
He makes them better. I just think they have too many problems. Look, people forget. The defense last year in the first half of the season was shutting opponents down.
The reason they shut him down was because they had Zach Caleros' offense putting pressure on the other team's offense, which made their defense better.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is they were winning these games in the second quarter. They had these games won by halftime. They're running up 55 points.
Yeah, because they had Zach Caleros.
Oh, come on.
Okay, the Indianapolis Colts, in 2011 went like 12-4 with Peyton Manning. Their defense looked pretty good. The next year, Peyton Manning's neck hurt. He didn't play, and they were 2-14.
And they were 1-15.
It makes a big difference. And a lot of it, Dieter, you can speak to this, or Brian.
Yeah, right.
If you have a quarterback that's that good, when he steps on the court, it's like a basketball team. You can be the worst basketball team in the world, but if Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, or Michael Jordan step on the court to play for you, your team automatically gets better just from the confidence that he puts in that team.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I think in the CFL and probably in the NFL also, you have a quarterback and you have a good defense, you're going to have a chance to win. And Caleros gives Hamilton that chance, and I think when he's in there, I think it improves our whole team. That's how I feel. And if you look at the good quarterbacks in this league, or the ones that the Boley, Levi Mitchell, Riley at times if he's getting protection, Caleros plays well if he stays healthy. Those are the guys, and in their defense, those defenses is going to give them a chance to win a Grey Cup.
Yeah, Brian, would you like to trash Oz for that statement too, where he rips on Zach Caleros all the time?
I feel like Mike Riley.
It just comes down to in any level of football, when your quarterback is good and your offense plays well, it puts pressure not only on the defense that you're playing against, but it puts pressure on the offense. Because look, bottom line is this: you got to score. If I'm playing a good offense and I know they're going to score, the pressure's on me because I've got to score. And now it makes other teams' defense do. The one thing about Hamilton's defense last year is they were so good at getting pressure and putting pressure on the back end with their secondary. And the reason for that is because teams felt like, hey, I've got to score. They, they're throwing the football, they're doing it, and you can play to that. Now they're in a situation where teams know the chances of them scoring points is not as good. The pressure now comes back on Hamilton because Hamilton feels like they've got to constantly stop teams' offenses from scoring. And
the mighty Winnipeg offense, for example.
Now he's going to take shots at Dieter Brock's team. Is that not Bush? I'll tell you what.
Wow.
Dieter, do you want to respond to that? He's taking shots at Zach Caleros. Now he's taking shots at Dieter Brock. He just doesn't like great CFL quarterbacks.
Hey, on the NFL show, I've been talking up your Rams, Dieter. So.
Oh, they really? I haven't paid attention to that yet.
Yeah, nobody cares what you're doing with the Rams. Just be quiet and let Dieter defend himself since you've ripped on his Blue Bombers.
I'm totally without words right now. I'm not sure. I think. Listen, Listen, the CFL and the quarterbacks that are playing up there, there's 3 or 4 teams that have really great quarterbacks, and there's 3 or 4 teams that have really good defenses. And I think if you look at Calgary and Toronto, if they got Ricky Ray back, I think they would be in the running in the East. But without him, I mean, they're not going to have a chance, I don't think.
Well, I think this, though, Dieter. I think the East is not the greatest conference here. You got to see who comes back from injury and who doesn't. Right now they're sitting at 4-2. If they were in the West with Calgary and BC, I could see that. But I don't really see a dominant team in the East right now.
No, I mean, there's not. Let's see. If you look at Ottawa probably is the best team in the East right now. Montreal is the worst. Hamilton, if they get Collaros back, I think they'll be up there. And of course, Toronto, without Ricky Ray, they're going to be down at the bottom. So depends on who you have at the quarterback position.
Yeah, well, that's always a big thing there. But luckily, Montreal's in the East, and that's Oz's team, and they're terrible. So we know they can't finish fourth. Oz, any final words?
No, I really want to continue this argument, but I won't. What
argument's that? The one where you're going to lose either way because you got 3 against 1?
Look. Okay, all right, you're baiting me. All right, here's the thing. Look at a team like the BC Lions, okay? Arguably the best team in the CFL, definitely one of the top 2 best teams in the CFL, okay? The only question mark this team has had all year has been at quarterback. So what you're telling me is you're going to take a team that just gave up 37 points to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers while scoring 11 points against a non-existent secondary is suddenly going to become, better than the BC Lions because of the return of Peyton Manning. I mean, seriously, I just don't buy it. Hamilton just has too many problems for Collaros to cure everything. I just don't buy it.
I'm telling you this, though. Okay, Brian can answer this, too. All right? We both coached teams before. I mean, with really good quarterbacks and really bad quarterbacks. And if you got to coach a defense and the quarterback's not very good, you don't call the defense the way you normally would.
Exactly, and that's what saying earlier. Everything changes when you don't have a good quarterback, and therefore, if you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have a good offense. Everything changes not only offensively but defensively because it changes how you have to call a game. It changes the mindset. Everything changes. I've had great. Jared Lorenzen, NFL quarterback. I could walk out there on the field and obviously Mike knows this. Walk there on the field offensively. I didn't have to call hardly anything because it didn't matter what I called. He was going to execute, get the ball to the right guy, touchdown. Therefore, made Mike's job easy. Calling defense going out there.
Mike does this then. Mike goes after everything and tries to intercept everything because if you score, I don't care because we get the ball right back and he's going to score. But eventually, with my defense putting as much pressure on you as I can, and you have to score all the time because of that quarterback that the other team's got, you're going to throw me the ball 2 or 3 times and you're going to get your ass blown out.
Yep. That's it.
So, Dieter, we'll just go ahead and vote. I say we won that argument with Oz, don't you think?
I think so. I agree.
See? Dieter agrees and he's in the Hall of Fame. So.
And also, just so we all understand this, if for some reason Zach comes back and Hamilton loses, you do realize we will never hear the end of it.
It doesn't matter because this has been fun either way.
Exactly.
And we'll be right because they won't lose. They'll lose. They might lose a couple games at the start, but at the end, they'll be in the playoffs in the Montreal Alouettes.
And that's what matters is, look, they put themselves in a position right now to get him back and be there. Let's be honest. If they're playing their best football at the end, that's what you want.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's all you want. All you got to do is get in. Look at all the teams in the NFL or even the CFL. I mean, there's been teams in the CFL that have lost more games than they've won. Robert Drummond's told us stories about that. He was on one of them. The team was 8-10. They get in the grade. They get in. Before you know it, they're in the Grey Cup, and they win it because you get hot at the right time. You get healthy at the right time.
Right.
And right now, Oz, let's face it, unless Montreal really steps it up, Hamilton's going to be in the playoffs. And right now, it would be Hamilton at Toronto. And if Hamilton has Zach Collaros, even if Toronto has Ricky Ray, do you really think Toronto's going to beat them?
Oh, no, of course not. No.
So then they go and play Ottawa, and then you don't even know who Ottawa's quarterback's going to be.
Well, at that point, it'll be Harris.
And it only takes, and this is the pact, though, with Zach Collaros, even if your defense is not that great, even if you're playing a better team, if he gets hot, he can go in and win that one game, and before you know it, you're in the Grey Cup.
Oh, sure. But look, if all
Mike Riley last year.
Exactly.
If all it took to win the title was, a solid team and a franchise quarterback, Peyton Manning would have like 12 rings, and he doesn't. So, yeah,
right, but let's look at
the number one quarterback.
If we want to talk about that, let's look at who Peyton Manning usually lost to, and that was Tom Brady in New England or Pittsburgh and Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay. Also fair.
Hey, guys, let's go ahead and we'll wrap this up because I know Dieter's got to get off. But so make sure you check us out at thegruelingtruth.net. Check out all the articles. I know the Rouge, White, and Blue, which is Oz's show with Joe Pritchard, will be on tomorrow. You can check that out in his articles. So for Dieter Brock, Os Davis, Brian Schmidt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.